So this is one that I wanted to get up on this channel much earlier this week, just wasn't able to with all of the Call of Duty news and everything that was going on. And that is revolving around Rockstar Games, GTA 6, and not a leaked release or trailer date. Again, the last video we talked about GTA, it was all about when did they think the trailer is going to be? All these people saying that the release date has been leaked. The GTA community is wild with that. Every single video you look up on it is like, when's the next trailer? We don't know. And this kind of goes along the same lines of this as now people are saying that the game is going to cost $100. Now, when we get into the actual article, that is not the case. And the video that we have here is from Jake Baldino himself. He says the title, GTA 6 for $100 plus problems at PlayStation. So we talked about the whole Sony thing earlier. I don't know if we'll go into that point of the video, but we'll definitely be talking about this $100 GTA 6 because my opinion on it is a hot one. But first, let's let Jake set us up here.
Two gaming news things I wanted to talk about this week. The first involves the headlines you've probably seen, the $100 video game. Yes.
And let's be honest here. This is something that I've wanted to say in a video for a while, and I think a lot of people will disagree with it. Like, video games, for the most part, have been inflation proof until COVID, really. So back when I was playing Nintendo 64, if I would go buy a game, it was $60. Like pretty frequently. Some smaller games were not, but Nintendo games pretty much $60. And then COVID hit, and I think it was 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. That price bounced up to $70 or $69.99 American. Now, Canada, we're all over the place with our prices because it's based off of the US prices and our dollar compared to the US prices. It's a mess up here. But just US dollars, it's been $60 and now up to $70. And then this article has said that they should increase the price to $100. Now, let's let him set it up a little bit more.
This has been floating around thanks to analyst Matthew Ball. He's not a gaming industry analyst by trade. He's like an all-around tech industry analyst. He's had some very interesting takes in the past, some good, some bad, but he seems like he's pretty reputable. I know I feel like a lot of other analysts seem to take what he says. I've seen, you know, articles, journalists and stuff run with what he says. But the thing recently in his newest kind of breakdown of the state of gaming suggests that there is, and I quote, hope that within the game industry that publisher Take-Two will use the unprecedented excitement around GTA 6 in order to bump up the default price of the game to $100.
Here is the problem with this article, is that 90% of the people are going to just read the title and say, oh, GTA 6 is going to cost $100. That sucks. Let's be angry about it. That is not what the article is saying. The article is saying, and I've read the article, is that they should increase the price of GTA 6 so that everyone else in the game industry can do it as well, because we know GTA 6 and a Rockstar game are going to be good. And on top of that, people have been waiting for it for years, so people aren't going to mind playing $100. And then if GTA does it, other AAA games can do it as well, which I think is a horrible, horrible take.
With that, it seems like a lot of other video game companies, you know, the corporations are hoping that that will set a precedent then for game prices to go up overall. This is big. This is big shit. That's something to talk about. We should dive into that because that's crazy. Look, in 2020, we already had the $60 to like $70 bump in US prices for games, with publisher Take-Two being like, you know, one of the first people to really jump on board with that. But the thing is that like that $60 to $70 jump, that sucked, and people didn't like that. People were already struggling paying $60 for a game.
Now it's just become kind of commonplace for games to be that much.
$70 makes people think even harder about their purchase, and any further increase means people would be even more deliberate, think even harder about that purchase. And
Also, for the majority of people, most people have a budget. So say, like, this article is stating this would be a good thing for the games industry because then everyone could increase their prices. Now, hear me out. If everyone increased the prices of their games, people would have to make a more conscious decision of what games you could buy. Say you have the budget for $10, $70 games a year that you can buy. Well, now they're up to $100. Now you can only buy 7 games a year. So in fact, people will be buying less games because of the price increase. Does that make sense?
Therefore, I think just overall purchase less.
Yeah,
So
okay.
while I think like, the head executives, the people behind these publishers, of course, they all want to charge more and bring in more revenue for what they are selling. That is literally every company out there in the world. So that's the one thing with this. It's like a report that there are like, whispers out there in the game industry. There is hope that GTA 6 will sell for a higher price. I haven't heard anything like that. I mean, I'm not really like anybody, like at all, but I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say anything like that. I haven't really felt that sentiment out there, but there is the undeniable other sentiment of the fact that like video game costs, like the cost to make a video game is spiraling out of control. And
Like
I'm not
insane
saying that
amounts. We've
like,
talked about
oh,
this so
poor
many
video
times.
game makers, boo-hoo. Like I'm not looking for sympathy for them or anything. I think I'm just acknowledging.
But there is also like Remedy is making games for a reasonable price. Like they're making AAA games like Alan Wake 2 for like, what was it, like $50 million, which is still really high, but like
The fact
comparatively,
that like there is kind of a burgeoning problem, and you can equate it to a lot of things. People have different answers for it. It can be video games wanting to be bigger, have more content, provide more, gamers wanting more, video games looking more and more realistic, and therefore costing so much more man hours and manpowers to make those things.
licenses,
Of
everything
course, then
along those
also
lines.
these are all experienced people that come at a high price. You're paying skilled developers skilled wages. There are other people in the industry who also blame it on like mismanagement, with like all these things becoming inflated just because of the people at the higher institutions are making dictations to the people making games that are just not feasible and making things take way longer. And when things take longer, it costs more money. I don't know. I look at that as something that can be fixed or can at least be tweaked, can be
How? I hope he answers how, because I don't think this is something that can be fixed. I think the price of these is going to keep going up, just like the price of movies and TV shows keep going up. Like we don't see articles come out saying, oh, this game made this much money and it was like the cheapest game to date, or same with movies. It's always, well, this Lord of the Rings TV show is the most expensive show ever to be released, or things along those lines. The prices of these just keep going up.
sort of a wake up.
So how do you fix
The
that?
video game industry has to figure out something.
How?
Because it does seem like it's just kind of like this growing, shaky thing that could just shatter at any moment. We see it all the time with all types of things, right? Whether it was like a couple of years back when all these studios decided there was no money in making these big, flashy, expensive single player games. They wanted those multiplayer dollars. Now
Live
we
service
have
dollars.
a lot of studios crashing and burning, chasing the live service or multiplayer game trend. So there's all these ups and downs, and I don't know, it's a mess. But ultimately, like I said, I really don't think players are going to go for any more game increases. I think some people out there, some sickos out there would spend $100.
Well, games have done this thing where they release like additions that have additional content in them, and then they'll pay more for them. But people also don't like that, because then that's like the day one DLC thing, and there's problems
on
with
Grand
that
Theft
as
Auto
well.
6 because they're like, I've waited so long for this. I haven't bought a new Grand Theft Auto game in 10 years. I get that. But I think for the overall gaming world, every game costing $80 in the US or something like that, I don't see people going for that. I mean, me personally, like there are certain things I would like certain
Also,
games.
one thing that I pointed out this year is it seemed like all of the games that actually like blew up and did really well were indie games, or at least games that were set at a lower price, right? Like $50 or $40. Like games that come to mind are Pal World. I think Helldivers 2 was cheaper as well.
Games like without a doubt, without like, renting it or playing a demo or something, I would buy into a big expensive game. I'm part of the problem, right? If there was like a new Metal Gear Solid tomorrow, sight unseen, I would just buy it. And if it cost $80, I would probably buy it. But on my day-to-day game purchases, like, oh, a new blah, 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 like a new Assassin's Creed or a new blah, 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 whatever game is coming out, I, like anybody, would wait and read reviews and really try and see if that's worth $80. And that's when you get back to that whole cost,
not
like dollar
actually
per
helping.
like, you can't get a short game for $80. Nobody would go for that. Some people can tolerate a shorter game for $40, $50, $60. Everybody's wallet's different, right? But once we get upwards to close to $100, I think people are going to think much differently. So like I said, I'm not happy with that. I would not want to see a massive price increase like that, but I also think there is an inevitability of it eventually happening for a variety of reasons. Inflation, the fact that the price of everything goes up always, forever. The fact that video games are also this weird holdout, right? Where video game prices very rarely increase for better or for worse. Like it's always kind of been somewhat consistent regardless of whatever factors out there. So I think because of that holdout, and how, you know, people outside of gaming industry are like, wait, you're selling these things for how much? Like, I do think that eventually, yeah, prices are going to go up. It's just really a matter of like whether or not the world is willing to pay for that. I mean, it's like everything goes up all the time. Netflix just increased their prices again.
They did.
So you just really wait until like, when is that going to
man, Netflix used to be $5 a month.
Happen to the game
what the hell
industry.
happened?
People have been predicting it for a long time. I don't think a jump
now there's ads on Netflix. The world is falling apart.
To $100 is going to happen overnight or anytime soon, but we may inch forward over time. I think at the very least, what I think we would see before that is more and more publishers embracing that like early access thing, right?
Well, that's already happened, right? And like this is the thing, right? This is what I thought was going to happen with Call of Duty, right? They put it on day one Game Pass, and what I thought they were going to do is charge their Game Pass users an extra like $10 for week early campaign access. They didn't end up doing that, but I could see that being the way that games go, right? Okay, it's a day one Game Pass, but if you want early access, a day -5 access, if you will, then you got to spend an extra $20.
Right. So there are other ways, publishers try to make money. It's selling the game with like a big flashy collector's edition, a premium edition, digital deluxe bullshit, all that confusing stuff. But then also the more recent thing, which is like, oh, if you buy the special version of the game, the extra, $100 version, you can actually play the game 3 days early, taking advantage of some of those sickos that just want it now and have the income or the expendable income or whatever the means to do so. They are within their rights to buy into that. Not everybody really likes that practice. I don't really know how I feel about it, but I think at the very least, I could see more and more publishers embracing that, getting some people to pay higher.
I'm surprised it's not just a universal thing at this point.
Prices for a game before actually just amping up the price of the game for everybody. So what I'm saying is, again, I think this is inevitable, but I think it's going to be a slow, gradual thing. It feels like a massive can of worms, and I am also coming at this from like a non-financial, non-analyst person. I am actually incredibly bad at math, famously bad at math, but I don't have to do math anymore. So to my math teachers. Yeah, excuse me. Sorry. I'm a little sick, so if I sound weird, yeah. But that's what I think about that. But the next story is also equally interesting, but there might be
So the one that he's about to go in there is the PlayStation stuff and a bunch of games getting canceled. And we already have a video going over that, so I'm not going to go back into that one. But when it comes to GTA, it is clear that GTA 6 is going to be the top selling game of all time. It is going to have the biggest first day of all time. It's going to have the biggest long tail, probably, as long as their online is good, which, let's be honest, it's going to be. It's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely massive. They don't need to put the game for $100. And I don't think a good reason for anything, like let's say I have the best water bottle. And water bottle prices are $10. And I have the best water bottle. So should I charge $15 so that other people can also charge $15? No, you should charge $15 if the value of what you're selling is worth $5 more than the other ones. Because I can tell you that if this water bottle is only slightly better than all of the $10 other water bottles, why is that so hard to say? I'm not going to spend $15 on this. I'm going to go and spend $10 for one that maybe the lid doesn't go on as well, or maybe it's not as big, or maybe there's something a little bit. It's not worth that. So if a game charges $100, it has to be worth $30 more than those other games that I would otherwise play. That is the only time I can see a game being worth $100. And let's be honest, a game that can do that is GTA or Red Dead, or like all these other games that always knock it out of the park. Even like, to me, like a Last of Us game or an Uncharted game could do it too, but I don't think those would ever. I think the easiest ones to state are, or if they did like a Baldur's Gate 4, or some people would say another Elden Ring game, right? Like these ones that are always good are the ones that could do it. Now, I'm sure you looked at the title, and I'm sure you looked at the thumbnail, and I'm sure you read that article in this video. Let's just be clear. As of right now, we don't know the price of GTA. We don't know the release date, and we don't know when the trailer's coming out. It's just a conversation about game prices. So I'm sure everyone's going to be in the comments that has already said, it better not be $100, or GTA can be $100. We don't know yet. We don't know.